When it comes to expensive clothing and accessories, it makes sense that watches and jewelry have always flooded the walk-in closets of billionaires around the world. But there's one thing that the new generation of billionaires has that's always puzzled me a bit. Sneakers. What were once just worn out on the courts and on the feet of rebellious greasers are now strutting down runways and adorning the feet of celebrities all over the world. Today, we're going to take a look at the 10 most expensive sneakers in the world. We'll talk about how they got their price tag and why exactly so many people seek after them. Number 10. M&M and Carhartt Air Jordan 4, $30,000. When it comes to sneakers, it seems to me that rappers and professional athletes feed the fire of sales. So I suppose it should be no surprise that the M&M Carhartt Air Jordan collaboration is the 10th most expensive shoe ever sold at $30,100. The shoe was the third collaboration between M&M and Air Jordan, and I happen to think it looks the best out of all of them. The shoe utilizes the 1989 silhouette of Air Jordan 4s, which were a favorite design of Jordan collectors. However, unlike the OG Air Jordan 4s, this collaboration has Carhartt canvas material. The back heel of the left sneaker features the shady XV logo on the back, while the right sneaker features the backwards E for Slim Shady himself. 10 pairs were sold at an auction in 2015 for a whopping $227,552, with the cheapest pair selling for $18,500 and the most expensive selling for the record-setting $30,100. Number 9. Nike Air Mag Back to the Future. You may remember a little film called Back to the Future and its sequel, Back to the Future 2. In this movie, our boy Marty McFly travels to the distant futuristic world of 2015, where he sports some self-lacing sneakers. Little did the creators of the film know, those futuristic sneakers would be made a reality by Nike in 2011. Nike made 1,500 pairs for their first release, and they actually did have self-tying laces. The pairs were auctioned off to charity, with all the proceeds going to Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's research. And my, were there a lot of proceeds, $5.6 million worth. Nike then re-released the shoe in 2016, but only released 89 pairs, which drove the price up immensely, and the most expensive pair of the Nike Air Mags sold for $35,000. Number 8. Air Jordan 4 M&M. Unless you have really bad memory, you probably recall me mentioning that M&M has done 3 collaborations with Air Jordan. There's actually a collaboration that sold for even more than the M&M Carhartt Air Jordan 4s, and that is the Air Jordan 4 Encore, which had a pair that sold for $37,500. There were only 50 pairs of the Air Jordan 4 Encores ever made. Named after Eminem's album, the shoes naturally take their color from the album cover. Blue suede adorns the outside of the shoe, while gray, black, and red tones round out the rest of the kicks. Number 7. Nike's SoCal Air Force 1 Supreme Max. The Air Force 1 Supreme Max SoCal hit the scene way back in 1982, and it was a fairly popular shoe because it was also the first to debut Nike Air technology. The shoe was a popular basketball sneaker that quickly turned into a lifestyle shoe. So how is a pair racked up a value of $50,000? Well, Big Boy, a member of the rap duo Outkast, commissioned the shoes in November 2007, and they had a little bling on them. The shoes are encrusted with 13 full carats of champagne diamonds, making them one of the most expensive Nike shoes ever made. Number 6. Air Jordan Silver Shoes. It pretty much goes without saying that the rarer the shoes are, the more they're worth. Only 10 pairs of the Air Jordan Silver Shoes were ever released, so it isn't too shocking that a pair sold for $60,000. And if there's anything I've learned, it's that sneakerheads are willing to pay big bucks to be one of the few people that own a special pair of kicks. But a pair of kicks owned by Michael Jordan himself, well, that's something people are willing to take a second mortgage out over. The shoes, which were handcrafted with sterling silver, were given to Michael Jordan as a 32nd birthday gift from his wife. The pair was signed and sold at an auction for $60,000, which is a price attributed to their rarity, their personal nature, and that signature. Number 5. Air Jordan 12 OVO. I'm gonna be honest with you, the next shoes on this list happen to be some of my favorites. They're sleek, neutral, modern, and I think they'd look pretty dang good with a suit. They're none other than the Air Jordan 12 OVO. These shoes were a collaboration between Air Jordan and Drake's company October's Very Own. The shoes retailed for a couple $100, which is a pretty great deal for the textured white leather overlay with gold accents and the translucent outsole that has a futuristic flair. However, one pair sold for a lot more than a couple $100. Drake gifted a pair to a woman at a Toronto Raptors event called Drake's Extravaganza Night, and it was certainly an extravaganza for that lucky woman. She turned around and quickly sold the shoes online, earning herself a cool $100,000 for them. Number 4. Air Jordan 12, the flu game. The year is 1997, and it's Game 5 of the NBA Finals. The Chicago Bulls were playing the Utah Jazz in Salt Lake City, and Michael Jordan looked like absolute garbage. He'd been up with the flu the entire night before. He'd missed breakfast and his team shoot-around, and during the pregame, he was hidden in a dark bathroom, puking his guts out. So, what did MJ do? Well, he ran out and scored an incredible 38 points, including the winning shot, leading the team to a 90-88 win. During this historic game, Michael Jordan wore a pair of Air Jordan 12s. These same shoes, dubbed the flu game shoes, sold at an auction for $104,000, and the history of these shoes alone will keep that price rising for years to come. Number 3. Converse Fast Break. If you've been paying attention, you've surely noticed that any shoes that have touched Michael Jordan's feet are worth a lot of money. Ones that were given as gifts and worn during historic games sell for a pretty penny. But what about a pair that was worn to the Olympics? This pair of Converse Fast Break may not look like they sold for $190,373, but trust me, they did. In 1984, Michael Jordan wore the Converse in the finals against Spain. It was his last game ever as an amateur, and some of his teammates were Patrick Ewing, Wayman Tisdale, Chris Mullin, and Sam Perkins. It was quite a game, if you ask me. After the victory, Michael signed the shoes and gave them to an 11-year-old ball boy who surely had no idea how much the shoes would be worth someday. Number 2. Nike Moon Shoes. Before 1971, there was no Nike. You walked down the streets without seeing a single swoosh, without seeing a single Just Do It t-shirt or billboard. But there was a man named Bill Bowerman, and he was doing all he could to make shoes that would allow his track team at the University of Oregon to be stronger, faster, and lighter. He tinkered with rattlesnake skin, kangaroo skin, and even fish skin to try and find the right material. Traditional metal spikes on running shoes were ripping up the new track at the U of O, but runners couldn't keep traction without them. Bill sat at the kitchen table one Sunday morning trying to come up with a solution, and he found it when his wife made him waffles with a waffle maker. He used that same waffle iron to make urethane bottoms for shoes, which would change the running shoe game forever. Bill made many prototypes of the shoes, most notably the Moon shoes. Only 12 pairs were ever made, and only one of those pairs were never worn. That pair sold at an auction for an unbelievable $437,500. The shoes were purchased by collector Miles Nadal and are going to be displayed in his own private museum in Toronto, known as the Dare to Dream Automobile Museum. From being made in a kitchen on a waffle maker to being sold for $437,500, well, I'd say these shoes went further than Bill ever dreamed. Number 1. Michael Jordan Shoes. Surely you've noticed by now that the value of shoes rises exponentially when they've been on Michael Jordan's feet. But how high could that price really reach? $300,000? $400,000? $500,000? Well, think even higher. The most expensive sneakers in the world were Michael Jordan's Nike Air Jordan 1 sneakers, which he wore during a 1985 exhibition game. The sales price, you ask? $615,000. The shoes were worn at a game in Trieste, Italy, where Jordan notably shattered a glass backboard with a powerful slam dunk. A piece of that glass backboard was still embedded in the shoes when they sold, driving up the price. And additionally, the shoes were signed by Jordan himself, which raised their value even further. I'm a little upset on this one because I put a bid in just under $500,000 and got outbid shortly after. Nevertheless, I do have an honorable mention for you: the solid gold OVO Air Jordans. So we've talked about the most expensive shoes in the world, but there's one honorable mention I just had to add. I mean, you can't wear these shoes, but they are made of solid gold, and they are worth $2 million. So can you blame me for tagging them on? These shoes were made in collaboration between October's very own and Jordan. But who on earth would want these shoes made of gold? Why, Drake himself, of course. He requested the shoes back in 2016, and when you're Drake, you get what you ask for. The shoe is wrapped in 24-karat gold and is said to weigh 100 pounds, which would be a bit of a built-in workout if you ask me. So, there you have it, the most expensive shoes ever sold. Which pair is your favorite? And what kind of sneakers do you think Mr. Luxury has in his closet? Don't doubt the hustle, kids. You know Mr. Lux has to step out on the scene every now and again. Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. As always, I'm Mr. Luxury. Pip pip to doodly doo.